change control is a crucial process that governs the management of changes within a project or organization. It ensures that alterations to project scope, requirements, resources, or any other aspect are carefully evaluated, approved, and implemented in a controlled manner to minimize risks and disruptions. The perspectives on change control differ between traditional and agile approaches to project management, reflecting their distinct methodologies, philosophies, and priorities. In this comparison, we'll delve into the characteristics of change control in both paradigms, highlighting their similarities, differences, and implications for effective project delivery. Traditional change control. A traditional form of change control refers to a structured and systematic process within project management that governs the assessment, approval, and implementation of changes to a project's scope, requirements, timeline, resources, or other critical elements. It is commonly associated with plan-driven methodologies like waterfall, where detailed planning occurs up front, and changes are managed cautiously to maintain project stability and predictability. In the traditional form of change control, changes are seen as potential risks that could lead to scope creep, budget overruns, or delays. The process involves documenting change requests, evaluating their impact, and making decisions through a formal review process, often involving a change control board, CCB, or a similar decision-making body. Let's see the different fundamentals of the traditional form of change control. 1. Plan-driven approach. In traditional project management methodologies like waterfall, change control operates within a structured and plan-driven framework. The emphasis is on thorough upfront planning, where detailed project plans are created at the beginning of the project, encompassing scope, timeline, and resources. The core principle is to establish a detailed project plan up front, outlining the scope, schedule, resources, and costs. The plan serves as a roadmap for the project's execution and is intended to be followed closely without significant deviations. 2. Rigidity and predictability. Traditional change control is designed to maintain stability and predictability throughout the project lifecycle. Changes are generally discouraged or carefully managed due to the potential to disrupt the predetermined project plan. Any modifications require thorough impact assessment and approval from higher management. The focus is on maintaining project stability and predictability by minimizing deviations from the original project plan. Any changes to the project scope, requirements, or other aspects are treated as potential disruptors that could lead to scope creep, budget overruns, and timeline extensions. 3. Formal change requests. Change requests in the traditional change control process are formal documents that outline proposed alterations to the project. These requests require comprehensive documentation, including details about the change, its rationale, its impact on scope, schedule, resources, costs, and potential risks. These documents are submitted to a Change Control Board, CCB, a group composed of stakeholders, project managers, technical experts, and sometimes external representatives. Hierarchical decision-making. The CCB plays a critical role in traditional change control. It reviews and evaluates change requests, assessing their potential impact on the project's objectives and constraints. The CCB then makes decisions about whether to approve, reject, or defer the change. The hierarchical nature of this decision-making process can sometimes lead to delays, especially for urgent changes that need quick action. 5. Emphasis on stability. Traditional change control focuses on maintaining project stability and adhering to the original project plan. Changes are considered potential risks that can lead to scope creep, timeline extensions, and budget overruns. Stability and adherence to the initial project plan are key priorities in traditional change control. The primary goal is to minimize disruptions and deviations from the original plan. As a result, changes are approached with caution, and their approval requires thorough analysis of potential risks and benefits. 6. Documentation and accountability. Documentation plays a central role in traditional change control, with detailed records maintained for all change requests, their evaluation, decisions, and implementations. This documentation helps with accountability and future reference. All change requests, along with their evaluations and decisions, are documented in detail. This documentation serves as a historical record of the project's changes, allowing for accountability, transparency, and future reference. It also aids in assessing the impact of changes on the project's overall trajectory. Traditional change control is often contrasted with Agile methodologies, which emphasize flexibility, adaptability, and a collaborative approach to change. While traditional change control provides stability and structured decision-making, it might be less suitable for projects in rapidly changing environments or those where continuous feedback and iterative improvements are crucial. Now, when we have discussed what a traditional form of change control is, let's now discuss its benefits and drawbacks. Benefits of traditional form of change control. 1. Stability and predictability. Traditional change control prioritizes maintaining project stability and predictability. Changes are carefully evaluated and controlled, reducing the likelihood of unexpected disruptions to the project's schedule, scope, or budget. 2. Thorough analysis. The formal process requires detailed documentation and rigorous evaluation of change requests. This ensures that the potential impact of changes on various aspects of the project is thoroughly assessed before decisions are made. 3. Accountability. Documentation of change requests, evaluations, and decisions creates a clear audit trail. This promotes accountability among stakeholders and decision-makers and provides a historical record of the reasons behind each change. 4. Risk management. By assessing the potential risks associated with each change, traditional change control helps in identifying and mitigating potential negative impacts on the project's success. 5. Controlled decision-making. Hierarchical decision-making through a change control board ensures that changes are reviewed by relevant experts and stakeholders. This reduces the likelihood of ill-informed decisions. 6. Scope management. Traditional change control helps in managing the project's scope by carefully reviewing proposed changes and their potential effects on the project's objectives. 7. Documentation for future reference. The detailed documentation of change requests and their evaluations serves as a valuable resource for future projects or audits. It provides insights into how changes were managed and their impacts. Now when we have discussed a few drawbacks. Drawbacks of traditional form of change control. 1. Slow response to change. The formal review process and hierarchical decision-making can lead to slower responses to change requests, especially when quick adaptations are required. 2. Lack of flexibility. Traditional change control can result in inflexibility when dealing with changes, which might hinder the project's ability to respond to evolving requirements or market conditions. 3. Opportunity cost. The emphasis on adherence to the original plan might cause the project to miss out on valuable opportunities for improvement or innovation that arise during its execution. 4. Bureaucracy. The formal documentation, evaluation, and decision-making process can introduce bureaucratic overhead, consuming time and resources that could be allocated to more productive tasks. 5. Limited stakeholder involvement. Traditional change control might limit the involvement of certain stakeholders in the decision-making process, potentially leading to decisions that don't fully consider all relevant perspectives. 6. Potential for resistance to change. The formal process and the perception of change as a risk might lead to resistance among team members who are accustomed to following the original plan. 7. Less adaptive to market changes. In dynamic markets where customer preferences or technologies evolve rapidly, the traditional approach might struggle to keep up with the pace of change. 8. Unrealized benefits. The stringent evaluation criteria could lead to the rejection of changes that could have provided significant benefits to the project. In summary, the traditional form of change control provides stability, accountability, and thorough evaluation of changes. However, it can be slow and inflexible, potentially missing out on opportunities for improvement and innovation. Its effectiveness depends on the nature of the project, the stability of the environment, and the balance between predictability and adaptability desired by the project stakeholders. Now let's dive into the theory of Agile change control. Agile change control refers to a dynamic and flexible process within Agile project management methodologies that facilitates the assessment, prioritization, and implementation of changes to a project's scope, requirements, and other critical aspects. Unlike traditional change control, which focuses on stability and adherence to a predefined plan, Agile change control embraces change as an opportunity to improve and evolve the project in response to evolving needs and market conditions. In Agile change control, changes are expected and welcomed throughout the project's lifecycle, and the process is designed to accommodate ongoing adjustments. Let's see the different fundamentals of the Agile form of change control. 1. Iterative and incremental approach. Agile methodologies, such as Scrum and Kanban, follow an iterative and incremental approach. Projects are divided into short cycles, sprints, or continuous flows, allowing for flexibility and adaptation to changing requirements. These methodologies emphasize an iterative and incremental approach to project management, where projects are divided into smaller cycles, sprints, or continuous flows that allow for constant adaptation and improvement. 2. Embracing change. Agile change control embraces change as a natural and inevitable part of the development process. It recognizes that requirements evolve as stakeholders gain a better understanding of the product and its potential. 3. Adaptive planning. Agile change control focuses on adaptive planning rather than upfront detailed planning. Requirements are captured in a prioritized backlog, and changes can be introduced at the beginning of each iteration or sprint based on the evolving needs of the project. Cross-functional teams. In Agile, decision-making authority is often delegated to cross-functional teams. These teams include individuals with different skills and expertise necessary to deliver the product. This delegation allows teams to make decisions about changes directly, reducing the need for a formal change control board. 5. Continuous feedback. Agile methodologies prioritize continuous feedback and collaboration between stakeholders, developers, and customers. This frequent interaction facilitates quick adjustments and real-time decision-making, enhancing the ability to respond to changes effectively. 6. Incremental documentation. Agile emphasizes lightweight documentation that focuses on essential information. Detailed documentation is produced as needed and evolves alongside the project. The emphasis is on working software rather than extensive documentation. Customer-centric approach. Agile change control places the customer at the center of decision-making. Changes are driven by customer feedback and aimed at delivering value to the customer with each iteration. This approach ensures that changes align with the customer's evolving needs. 8. Flexible scope. Agile projects have a more flexible scope, allowing for reprioritization of features and adjustments to accommodate changing requirements. This contrasts with traditional projects, where scope changes are more carefully managed. The focus is on delivering the most valuable features early in the project and adjusting the scope based on feedback. 9. Short feedback loops. Agile methodologies incorporate short feedback loops through regular reviews and demonstrations. This helps identify necessary changes early in the process, reducing the likelihood of costly rework later. In conclusion, Agile change control is characterized by its flexibility, customer-centric approach, and continuous adaptation. While it allows for quick responses to change and better alignment with customer needs, it may introduce challenges in terms of predictability and maintaining documentation. Its effectiveness depends on the project's context, the willingness of stakeholders to collaborate, and the project's capacity to manage change iteratively. Now, when we have discussed what a traditional form of change control is, let's now discuss its benefits and drawbacks. Benefits of Agile change control. 1. Adaptability. Agile change control excels in responding to changing requirements and market conditions. It allows projects to pivot quickly based on new information and feedback. 2. Customer-centric approach. Agile methodologies prioritize continuous customer feedback and involvement. Changes are driven by real-time customer needs, leading to products that better satisfy customer expectations. 3. Faster value delivery. High-priority changes are addressed early in the project, enabling quicker delivery of valuable features and improvements. 4. Flexibility in scope. Agile projects have a more flexible scope, allowing teams to reprioritize and adjust features based on changing priorities. 5. Reduced risk. The iterative nature of Agile development and frequent testing help identify and address risks earlier in the project lifecycle. 6. Empowered teams. Decentralized decision-making empowers cross-functional teams to make quick and informed decisions about changes within their expertise. 7. Collaboration. Agile methodologies encourage collaboration and shared ownership among team members, leading to a more engaged and motivated team. 8. Continuous improvement. Agile change control fosters a culture of continuous improvement, as teams learn from each iteration and adjust their approach accordingly. Drawbacks of Agile change control. 1. Lack of predictability. Agile's emphasis on adaptability can lead to less predictable outcomes, making it challenging to set fixed schedules or commitments. 2. Documentation challenges. While Agile promotes lightweight documentation, this approach might lead to challenges in maintaining a clear historical record of changes and decisions. 3. Resource management. Rapid and frequent changes can require constant reevaluation of resource allocation and capacity. 4. Project complexity. Frequent changes can introduce complexity, especially in larger projects, which may impact project management and coordination. 5. Customer availability. Agile relies on continuous customer involvement, which might be challenging if customers have limited availability or are in different time zones. 6. Scope creep. The flexible scope of Agile projects can potentially lead to scope creep if not managed effectively. 7. Resistance to change. Frequent changes might lead to resistance from team members who are more accustomed to stability and predictability. 8. Dependency on team expertise. Agile change control relies heavily on the expertise and decision-making abilities of cross-functional teams. Lack of expertise in certain areas could impact the quality of changes. In conclusion, Agile change control offers numerous benefits, including adaptability, customer focus, faster value delivery, and empowered teams. However, it also introduces challenges related to predictability, documentation, and managing complexity. The effectiveness of Agile change control depends on factors such as the project's context, team dynamics, and the balance between flexibility and structure desired by stakeholders. Comparative analysis. 1. Approach to change. Traditional. Views change as a potential risk and disruption to project stability. Changes are managed cautiously to minimize disruptions and maintain the original plan. Agile. Embraces change as a natural part of the development process. Changes are expected and welcomed throughout the project lifecycle. 2. Decision-making. Traditional. Hierarchical decision-making through formal change control boards. Decisions may take longer due to the formal review process. Agile. Decentralized decision-making by cross-functional teams. Teams have the autonomy to make decisions about changes, enabling quicker responses. Planning approach. Traditional. Detailed upfront planning with a focus on stability. Changes are introduced cautiously to prevent deviations from the plan. Agile. Adaptive planning that accommodates changes throughout the project. Changes are integrated into the project plan through iterative cycles. 4. Flexibility. Traditional. Less adaptable to rapidly changing requirements or market conditions. prioritizes adhering to the original plan. Agile. Highly adaptable to changes, making it suitable for dynamic environments. Flexibility allows for quick responses to evolving needs and opportunities. Documentation. Traditional. Extensive documentation for change requests, evaluations, and decisions. Detailed records maintained for accountability and historical reference. Agile. Lightweight documentation focused on essential information. Documentation is produced as needed and evolves alongside the project. 6. Customer involvement. Traditional. Customer involvement may be limited to the requirements gathering phase. Changes might not fully align with evolving customer needs. Agile. Continuous customer involvement and feedback drive changes. Changes are aligned with current customer preferences and needs. 7. Speed of change. Traditional. Slower response to change due to formal review processes. Quick changes might disrupt project stability and predictability. Agile. Rapid response to change due to decentralized decision-making. Changes are integrated into regular iterations or cycles. 8. Risk management. Traditional. Detailed risk assessment associated with proposed changes. Focuses on minimizing risks associated with changes. Agile. Continuous risk identification and mitigation through iterative cycles. Emphasis on adapting to changes to minimize negative impacts. Value delivery. Traditional. Value is delivered based on the original project plan. Changes might be seen as potential disruptors to value delivery. Agile. Early and continuous value delivery through incremental changes. High-priority changes are addressed early to maximize value. 9. Stakeholder collaboration. Traditional. Limited collaboration during the execution phase. Stakeholders might not have direct influence over changes. Agile. Strong emphasis on stakeholder collaboration and feedback. Stakeholders provide input and influence changes directly. 10. Project scope. Traditional. Project scope is less flexible and may be resistant to changes. Changes require careful evaluation to prevent scope creep. Agile. Scope is flexible and can be adjusted based on changing priorities. Adaptation of scope allows for responsiveness to evolving requirements. 11. Documentation for reference. Traditional. Detailed documentation provides a historical record of changes. Documentation aids in audits and future reference. Agile. Documentation is focused on the current state of the project. Historical records might be less extensive but are aligned with project iterations. In summary, traditional and agile change control approaches have distinct philosophies and implications for project management. Traditional change control emphasizes stability, formal processes, and careful evaluation of changes, while agile change control prioritizes adaptability, flexibility, and continuous value delivery through iterative cycles. The choice between these approaches depends on the project's context, goals, stakeholder preferences, and the balance between predictability and responsiveness required for success. Let's first discuss the implications of traditional change control. 1. Stability and predictability. Traditional change control aims to maintain project stability and predictability by carefully managing changes. This can help prevent scope creep, budget overruns, and schedule delays. 2. Formal processes. The formal review and decision-making processes ensure that changes are thoroughly evaluated and aligned with the project's objectives. 3. Accountability. Detailed documentation and formal decision-making structures establish accountability for changes and decisions made throughout the project. 4. Risk mitigation. Rigorous impact assessment and risk evaluation help identify potential risks associated with changes and allow for their mitigation. 5. Resource allocation. Changes are evaluated in terms of their potential impact on resources, helping with efficient resource allocation. Now let's discuss the benefits of traditional change control. 1. Controlled decision-making. Hierarchical decision-making through change control boards helps maintain project alignment with organizational goals and strategies. 2. Risk management. Thorough impact assessment and evaluation minimize the likelihood of unexpected risks emerging from uncontrolled changes. 3. Transparency. Detailed documentation of change requests, evaluations, and decisions provides transparency and a historical record for future reference. 4. Stakeholder alignment. Formal processes ensure that changes are carefully reviewed by relevant stakeholders, reducing misalignment and misunderstandings. 5. Scope management. Traditional change control helps manage project scope, preventing unnecessary expansion that could lead to project drift. Now let's discuss the implications of Agile change control. Implications. 1. Flexibility and adaptability. Agile change control embraces change as an opportunity and adjusts project plans to accommodate evolving requirements. 2. Continuous feedback. The iterative nature of Agile requires continuous feedback, which can demand high levels of customer and stakeholder involvement. 3. Customer-centric approach. Agile change control centers around delivering value to customers by responding to their changing needs and preferences. 4. Collaboration. Agile methodologies emphasize collaboration among cross-functional teams and stakeholders to make informed and timely decisions. 5. Less formality. Agile change control may have less formal documentation and decision-making structures compared to the traditional approach. Now let's discuss the benefits of Agile change control. 1. Quick response to change. Agile methodologies enable swift responses to new requirements or changing market conditions, maintaining project relevance. 2. Early value delivery. High-priority changes are addressed early, resulting in quicker value delivery to stakeholders. 3. Customer satisfaction. Continual customer involvement ensures that the delivered product remains aligned with customer expectations, leading to higher satisfaction. 4. Innovation. Agile's adaptability allows for experimentation and innovation, leading to the incorporation of new ideas as they arise. 5. Reduced waste. Iterative cycles and frequent feedback minimize the risk of developing features that might not meet customer needs. 6. Risk reduction. Agile's incremental approach aids in early risk identification and mitigation, reducing the impact of potential problems. 7. Motivated teams. Empowering teams to make decisions fosters a sense of ownership, engagement, and responsibility for project outcomes. In conclusion, traditional change control offers stability, formal processes, and controlled decision-making, which are valuable for projects with well-defined requirements and predictable environments. Agile change control, on the other hand, offers adaptability, responsiveness, and customer centricity, making it suitable for projects in dynamic and rapidly changing environments. The choice between these approaches should be guided by project context, stakeholder preferences, and the balance required between predictability and flexibility. Conclusion. Change control practices in traditional and agile project management methodologies reflect their underlying philosophies and approaches. While traditional change control emphasizes stability and thorough planning, agile change control prioritizes flexibility, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Both approaches have their merits and are better suited to specific project contexts. Ultimately, the choice between these two perspectives should be guided by the project's characteristics, the organization's culture, and the desired balance between predictability and adaptability.